Hello, my name is Amber, and this is You Look Like a Badger, a podcast where I discuss queer cinema. It is the 21st of April, it's about 7:45 at night, and I'm recording this to get all my thoughts down about a decision I'm trying to make, and if I still hold this opinion in, say, like June or July, then my decision that I've made over the past couple of weeks is going to be final. And that's quite scary. But I also think it's probably the best decision. I'm not going to beat around the bush. You Look Like a Badger is going to come to an end. So I'm currently working through season 5 at the moment, which is Gregg Araki's season. And I really do think this is a good place to kind of end this project. I've done 5 seasons of this podcast. I'm very happy at the progress I've made. I think I've learned a lot. I've refined the process of podcasting. And I think ending something when you feel like you've done your best work is probably for the best. I do not want to get to a place where I come to hate this podcast, the process of making it, and I can kind of feel myself getting a bit worn down with the process and not really finding it fun anymore. And I don't want that to be the reason that I very abruptly end it. I want to give a final response. I want to upload all the episodes I plan to upload and then finish off and then just have this as a document of my work over the past couple of years. I do have reasons, and I'm going to explain the reasons. This isn't like an abrupt decision. It's not really based on external forces too much, but it's not based on them. And like I said, I might change my mind about this. I'm recording this in April. I'm currently working on the second mainline episode, and as I was editing it, I really felt myself just not caring anymore, and that's going to come from a mixture of things. I've done this podcast over many different states of mind. I've been incredibly depressed. I've been quite suicidal when I've done this podcast. I've been grieving family members. I've had housemates move out. I've had really horrible days, and I've still come and I've managed to get a podcast episode out every month, mostly on time. And I think part of that is the problem. Okay? I really will stick with something for a long, long time, even when it's making me unhappy. And it's not something I like about myself. I think when you're in school and stuff, being rewarded for pushing through the pain, coming to school when you're ill, having 100% attendance, that was me. I did that. And I think it's something that I've taken into my life, and it's something that I don't think is conducive to good work. And I don't want to get to the point where I no longer enjoy researching and recording and editing, because I can feel that in myself. The reason that I began doing this was because I don't have an outlet in real life to talk about movies, really. I use Letterboxd. I have for a while. And, I kind of connect with people on there, but I really wanted an opportunity to, I guess, talk about movies in like a real structured way, to have an outlet. A lot of my favorite podcasts are movie podcasts, and I wanted something creative to do with my energy. Most of my energy, I guess, before doing this podcast was taken up by my job. That's still true. Or writing. I would write blog posts. And I did this because I wanted somewhere to just focus that creative energy. However, over the years, this podcast has become the most intensive part of my month. I research so much. There's pages and pages of research that I do. I watch movies as part of my research. I script everything myself. I record everything myself. I edit everything myself. You can probably tell a lot of the time it isn't very good. but it is a lot of work. And like I said, I enjoy having stuff to fill my time up with. I enjoy filling up my time. I think I've always been someone who struggled with a sense of purpose, like what I should be doing with my time. And having something to work towards consistently has been good for my mental health to a certain extent. I rarely talk about this. I don't think I've ever really talked about this on the podcast, but there is no reward for putting in this much effort. And like, you know, at the end of the year, Spotify does a little wrapped thing, and it's like, here are some people who listen to your podcast all across the world, and that's wonderful. And I'm very happy that people have stumbled upon it and enjoy listening to it. But we're not racking up numbers here, are we? It's not like it's not an expansive project. I'm not rolling in dough from this. I'm putting in a lot of effort for basically nothing in return. And like, I want to reiterate, as I have done, that's on me. You know, the plan with this was not to become an overnight sensation or to go viral. I literally just wanted to talk about movies. And I think talking about very niche movies, you know, like LGBT movies, was a good way for me to, I guess, talk about identity and representation, which were things that were on my mind when I started this podcast, and talk about something that I'm very passionate about in tandem. At the same time, the world has gotten a lot worse. I don't know if you've noticed, it's gotten a lot worse. And as a result, it's become harder to find LGBT material. There have been fewer LGBT movies than I've seen in a while as new releases, and online platforms actively suppress queer material for being adult, right? This with the combination of the fact that I simply cannot upload to the level that any other podcast can, because I'm doing all of this by myself, means that I can't build an audience. Like, it's just me on my own and nobody's listening to this. That's okay. I love talking to myself. I don't mind. But like, the amount of effort that I have to put in to make something even halfway decent for no one to hear it, it's not it's not something that motivates me to want to continue doing it. Like I said, I don't need to go viral, but the fact that I've been doing this for several years now and no kind of audience has emerged, I think that in and of itself is maybe a sign that it's just not going to happen. Because when I write for pleasure, I enjoy the process and the finished product, and I'm straight on to the next one. I will keep writing about film constantly. I will do it with no one listening, you know. But the process of writing an essay and producing a full podcast, the research, the scripting, the recording, the editing, that whole process takes so much out of me. And I don't believe it's particularly sustainable. It's not enjoyable anymore. I really dread certain parts of this process, I think. And the fact that I don't make any money from this at all. I never have. I don't think I've made really any money from my internet output at all. But also, no one is interested. The world is no longer interested in the safety and enjoyment of queer people. That has been made clear. And like, is it a bad sign that when the world is getting more and more fascistic, that I am shutting down potentially a resource that people come to? Yes, maybe. At the same time, I don't know that the loss will be that felt, really, because there's no one here. I honestly think it's just me. Like, I've seen the analytics. I know no one's listening. So why am I stressing myself out about this every month? There's no need. It's not just that the process here has become less and less enjoyable as this has gone on. It's that in this current moment, I'm doing not only the most writing I've done in a while, I'm doing some of the best writing I've done in a while. I think some of my recent essays have been really, really good. I've started writing short stories, which I never thought I would do because I hate writing prose. I'm putting in like consistent effort with my poetry. I'm sometimes writing daily poems. And when one part of my life gets better, inevitably another part is going to get worse. To a certain extent, giving myself more time to focus on the writing part will be better for me. I'm a writer, okay? I don't actually view myself as a podcaster. This is very much a side project that became the main project because it's so massive to deal with. Focusing my attention there would just be better for me. The final thing that I would like to address. I really hate getting personal on here. It's horrible. I never created this with the intent of forming a parasocial relationship with anyone. Like I said, no one's listening, so who cares? This podcast is very much it's very much an LGBT focused podcast, okay? I like to center that part of the podcast. It's the main draw of it. And over the years, I have started to feel like a fraud. When I come to this podcast and I talk about queer themes, a lot of the time I feel so out of touch with what I'm even saying. I don't know if I'm explaining this correctly. I would not argue that I live a particularly queer life. I don't interact with other gay people really at all on my day-to-day life. Most of the online spaces have become very hostile to LGBT discussions, and I'm very aware that this is all quite targeted. I've had a very complex relationship with my sexuality and in recent years my gender, and trying to convey that in simple terms and relate to movies in simple terms has become harder and harder. I don't feel like I'm an authority on really any of the stuff that I talk about a lot of the time. So when I come to you with all of this research that I've done, I never feel like the personal angle is there. I am not trained to talk about myself in public. I never have been. I'm not a public speaker. I'm not even a speaker really most of the time. If you ask anyone in my life, I don't know that they would be able to tell you concrete stuff about me. And is it essential that I galvanize my personal life in order to make my podcast more appealing? I don't think so. I think I can perform analysis on these movies without letting you into every single detail of my life. But over these past couple of years, I have just not felt like I have the right to be talking about any of the stuff that I'm talking about. Because like I said, I don't know that I live a particularly queer life. I don't know what I wanted this podcast to be, really. Like, was what I was imagining like a form of community building? Did I want to work out some stuff about my sexuality and gender as I was going along? Because I didn't do either of those things. Mostly, I distracted myself from my depression. Yay. And I created a lot of artificial stress. Like I would get home from work and I would then stress about having to make something that I decided to make. Like no one has a gun to my head asking me to make this podcast. I did this on my own. Here's my thing. If this has been helpful to you, I'm so thrilled. To me, I don't know that it has done really anything for my life except give me extra work to do that no one asked me to do. It's very funny that I did that to myself, if I'm being honest. Why would I do that? Who knows? I don't think that this is goodbye forever. There may come a time in the future where I really want to talk about a film here, and I have literally nowhere else to do it. So I just come here and I'll do a long rambly episode and I'll post it. But going forward, I don't think I want to continue with this show as it stands anymore. I hope that my decision makes sense.